Hi children, welcome to my English class. Today we would study the poem The Spider and the Fly by Mary Howitt. The story tells of a cunning spider who entraps a fly into its web through the use of seduction and manipulation. Let us know the information about the author. Mary Bottom Howitt was a 19th century English author who is best remembered for her famous children's poem, The Spider and the Fly. Her literary output was considerable and collaborating on many projects with her husband. She had over 180 books to her name. She was born Mary Bottom on the 12th March 1799 at Colleford, which is a small town in the Forest of Dean area of Gloucestershire. This was a coal mining area at the time, and Mary's father was custodian of some mining property. The Queen Anne style house where she grew up in the town still stands and is called Howitt Place in her memory. Let's perceive the poem stanza-wise and realize its meaning. "Will you walk into my parlor?" said the spider to the fly. "This is the prettiest little parlor that ever you did spy. The way into my parlor is up a winding stair, and have many curious things to show when you are there." "Oh, no, no," said the little fly, "to ask me is in vain, for who goes up your winding stair can never come down again." In stanza 1, the spider does its best to entice the fly into its parlor, with the promise of pretty things to see. The fly refuses and says it will never visit, because it knows whoever goes there is never seen again. "I am sure you must be weary, dear, with soaring up so high. Will you rest upon my little bed?" said the spider to the fly. "There are pretty curtains drawn around, the sheets are fine and thin, and if you like to rest a while, I'll snugly tuck you in." "Oh, no, no," said the little fly, "for I have often heard it said, they never, never wake again who sleep upon your bed." In stanza 2, the spider tries a different tactic, offering the fly a pretty and comfortable place to sleep. Again the fly refuses, citing the disappearance of others who have accepted this offer. Said the cunning spider to the fly, "Dear friend, what shall I do to prove the warm affection I have always felt for you? I have within my pantry good store of all that's nice. I am sure you are very welcome. Will you please to take a slice?" "Oh, no, no," said the little fly, "kind sir, that cannot be. I have heard what is in your pantry, and I do not wish to see." In stanza 3, the spider asks what it can do to prove its motives are pure. It offers lovely food to the fly, but once again the fly refuses, saying it has heard about the spider's pantry and isn't interested. "Sweet creature," said the spider, "you are witty and you are wise. How handsome are your gauzy wings, how brilliant are your eyes. I have a little looking glass upon my parlor shelf. If you will step in one moment, dear, you shall behold yourself." "I thank you, gentle sir," she said, "for what you are pleased to say, and bidding you good morning now, I'll call another day." In stanza 4, the spider tries to flatter the fly by praising its appearance and inviting it to look into a mirror. Though flattered, the fly refuses, but leaves the door open a bit by implying some other time. The spider turned him round about and went into his den, for well he knew the silly fly would soon be back again. So he wove a subtle web in a little corner sly, and set his table ready to dine upon the fly. Then he came out to his door again and merrily did sing, "Come hither, hither, pretty fly, with the pearl and silver wing. Your robes are green and purple, there's a crest upon your head. Your eyes are like the diamond bright, but mine are dull as lead." So in stanza 5, the spider knows it has won and begins preparations to feast on the fly. After setting a trap, it again appeals to the fly's vanity and praises its beauty compared to the spider's less appealing appearance. Alas, alas, how very soon this silly little fly, hearing his willy flattering words, came slowly flitting by. With buzzing wings she hung aloft, then near and nearer drew, thinking only of her brilliant eyes and green and purple hue, thinking only of her crested head, poor foolish thing. At last up jumped the cunning spider and fiercely held her fast. He dragged her up his winding stair into his dismal den, within his little parlour, but she never came out again. So in stanza 6, the vain fly comes by to hear more blandishments about its beauty, and the spider strikes, taking the fly into its parlour, from which it never emerges. And now, dear little children, who may this story read, to idle, silly, flattering words I pay you never give heed. Unto an evil counselor close heart and ear and eye, and take a lesson from this tale of the spider and the fly. So, in this stanza 7, the narrator speaks directly to the readers with an imperative: never fall for the flattery of a predator. Learn from this fable of the spider and the fly. So, children, the moral of the poem is that people should not allow themselves to be manipulated by others who prey on their vanity. Thank you.